We turn to John McAfee, pioneer in the cybersecurity industry, CEO of MGT Capital Investments, political activist. He sought the Libertarian Party's presidential nomination in 2016. He joins me from Oakland. Heard all the headlines about hacks, the Democratic National Committee being hacked, John Podesta being hacked, Russia's alleged efforts to influence the election. What's your take on all of this?
Well, there's so much information out there, Larry, that I think to start with, we need to define what cybersecurity is. There's the protection of our privacy, which we have none, by the way. There's the protection of our data, our critical data. We have none of that. There's the protection against cyber attacks, like denial of service attacks against internet organizations where we can no longer get access to the internet or a company's computer goes down. And then far more importantly, we have cyber warfare. The only front that America has any capability in is in cyber warfare. That began back in 2011 with Stuxnet, a virus written jointly by the U.S. and Israel that destroyed half of Iran's centrifuges to create purified uranium. So the thing that distresses me more than anything else is that our government defines cybersecurity, by and large, especially the FBI, the Department of Justice, as using cyber technology to make sure that American citizens toe the line, that there are no terrorist activities, and that we are all monitored and controlled. And this is what scares me, because that really is not cybersecurity. The thing about Donald Trump's cybersecurity platform that frightens me the most is that he wants the Department of Justice to head a national task force of law enforcement agencies to create our, quote, cybersecurity policies. Well, the agency that's going to head that up, we know is going to be the FBI. They are the lead technologists within the Department of Justice. And look at what happened to the FBI. In 2013, they were shut down by Anonymous. In 2015, the Chinese stole every record that the FBI had. And in February of this year, a 15-year-old boy hacked the FBI and published 30,000 records, including undercover agents, of every agent within the FBI organization, almost 80% of their employees. And is this the agency that you want running America's cybersecurity? Well, there must be another. I'm sorry, sir, go ahead.
And what is John McAfee's idea?
Well, my idea is let's address the real cybersecurity problem. For example, what the FBI has, what the NSA has, what every covert agency within the U.S. government has, is software and hardware capable of listening in on every conversation between every American citizen, reading every text message, reading every email, knowing who our contacts are, knowing everything about us. And these are being used against us now. Why don't we take all of that effort and realize that the American government itself has no security? The Chinese walked off with 23 million records from the Office of Personnel Management last year. As easy as could be, and yet that office was protected by the state-of-the-art cyber protection technology. We don't have any.
You think Russia attacked the Democratic Party? Do you think the DNC and Podesta, Julian Assange had anything to do with this? What's your view of that?
Okay, well, here's the truth is, Larry, when the FBI or when any other agency says the Russians did it, or the Chinese did something, or the Iranians did something, that's a fallacy. Any hacker capable of breaking into something is extraordinarily capable of hiding their tracks. If I was the Chinese and I wanted to make it look like the Russians did it, I would use Russian language within the code. I would use Russian techniques of breaking into organizations. So there simply is no way to assign a source for any attack. This is a fallacy. This is what the FBI and other agencies want us to believe so that they can manipulate our opinions. But I can promise you, if it looks like the Russians did it, then I can guarantee you It was not the Russians.
What do you think of WikiLeaks?
You know, I believe that we should know, as American citizens, the truth of what is happening within our government, Larry. You know, our government wants to say, well, we have secrets that we must protect. There are no secrets anymore. If the U.S. government believes that the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians do not already have all of our secrets because of their hacking technologies, then our government is deluding itself. So WikiLeaks, you know, it's a tricky question. But I would rather know. I would rather know that my government is doing something illegal, like having the NSA spy on me and you and others, than not to know. Surely this is the only sane way to look at this.
What's the purpose? The old comic strip Pogo used to say, we have found the enemy and it is us. Why would the government want to hack John McAfee's computer? Why? For what possible reason?
John McAfee.
Why?
Well, if it's me, then it's for any number of reasons. I'm the most outspoken critic of the FBI.
So what?
Of the NSA.
It's in America, you can criticize them. They hack you to find out what?
To find out who I'm talking to, who my friends are. Am I involved in some subversive organization? Am I doing something anti-American or undemocratic? Am I doing something that might in some way harm the administration or divulge a secret which I may possess? But I have the right to privacy. It's in the Constitution. And yet I have no privacy, and neither do you, Larry. If you think that just because you are not a political activist or you're not speaking out against a government agency, that they may not be looking into your life, I know that they are. Why? You are an important person. You influence millions of Americans. So of course they want to know what you're thinking, what you're doing, who your friends are, and what you're saying. And I'm not being paranoid. This is just the facts of life as they exist today, Larry.
We'll be right back with more politicking. Recently, Obama said that the United States are going to respond to Russian cyber attacks. Tell me what the United States can do.
Well,
whether it's Russia, China, or Iran, what can we do?
Here is the problem. In terms of cyber attack, in terms of cyber warfare, we could destroy every country on the planet by, number one, taking out their power supply permanently. That's trivial. The unfortunate thing is, it is so easy to do and so cheap to create weaponized software, so can every other country in the world. There's not a single country that could not bring us down if they so choose. Why hasn't it happened? We're in the same sort of détente that we were in the 50s and 60s, where nobody can push a button because they fear the response that might occur. We have weapons of software, weaponized software coming out the kazoo, but we have no protection. We have no security. There is no way to stop attacks from others. If we had any, then we would not have had the attacks against the Office of Personnel Management. The FBI could not have been hacked by a 15-year-old boy. We all need to get real here.
How?
Our country, like, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were going to say.
Well, it's simply that it is so easy to create the weapons, weaponized software to destroy, harm, and create chaos within other countries that we have totally forgotten the protection of ourselves. And had not the FBI and the NSA applied all of their talents into watching me and you and all of your viewers, we would actually have some cyber protection. But all of that effort has been placed on a country that is afraid of its own citizens.
Who approves
afraid
that?
Of people.
Who signs off
sorry?
on that? Who signs off on their spying on us rather than on the other guy, the bad guy?
Well,
who edicts that?
Well, allegedly, it would come through the executive branch. But apparently the NSA on its own took on the task of spying on Americans rather than its assigned task of spying on foreign countries, without any oversight. I mean, we are out of control here in cybersecurity. We need people who truly understand the full breadth of this. It is a complex problem involving not just our privacy and our security as individuals or as companies, but as a nation. The very existence of our culture, of America, depends on a change. And it can't happen without new people, without new blood, without new talent.
Nixon did this without the internet. He invaded psychiatrist's office. He tried Watergate, right? Now,
right.
Imagine, let's say, an evil president. Now, you don't think Obama cares about going into your cyberspace, do you? Do you care? Do you think he does? I don't think so.
No, obviously he doesn't, else it would not be happening.
So you think he does know about it or doesn't know about it?
Well, whether he does or doesn't, he doesn't seem to care. Clearly someone doesn't care. I am smart enough. I've been in this business my whole life, Larry, and I'm smart enough to know when I buy a new telephone, within 3 days, some agency of the government has invaded my privacy by placing spyware on my phone, listening to me, watching me, reading my emails and text messages. I've long since given up on trying to prevent that. Instead, I use older technology for communications that matter to me, flip phones that can't be hacked.
That's what I have.
But this, well, good man, and stay with it, because I know when it's happening to me. Good heavens, I'm 71 and I've been in this business for 50 years, so I know that it's happening, and not just to me. And
can the same brilliance of technology counteract it?
Yes, absolutely. But we have to have someone at the top or someone in authority that will say, look, the FBI, your job is not to spy on American citizens randomly, at will, by getting sign-offs by some judge that you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning who doesn't seem to care, to give you a warrant that will allow you using a device called a Stingray, created by Harris Corporation, that will read and listen to everybody's conversation within a half-mile radius, even though you have a warrant for just one person. Please, this is actually happening. It has to stop. And we have to apply ourselves to the task of securing our country, our corporations, and ourselves from attack from any number of quarters. And we don't need one more attacker, that attacker being our own government. It's bad enough as it is.
You were the developer of the first commercial antivirus program. Has this made you a target of hackers?
Well, of course, yeah. It's a badge of honor, I think, for a hacker to hack me. And it happens frequently. What happens is when people plant software on my phone, I immediately identify it. Instead of getting rid of it, I try to find out who put it there. And then I keep my phone in a safe place when I want to have a private conversation. I don't have a private conversation with my telephone in my pocket unless my thumb is over the microphone. I don't let it watch what I'm doing. I keep it in closed spaces. So I can allow this...
You're painting this picture, John, that instrument, that iPhone that you have on you is an enemy of you.
Of course it is. It's the ultimate spy device, Larry, and it was designed to be that. And let me tell you why. The iPhone and Google's Android phones are designed for one purpose: to allow marketers and salesmen to have access to where you are, who your friends are, what you are buying, what color shoes you like, what color sweaters you're looking for Christmas, so that they can market those things to you. Now, because it is designed to allow that, then it is also designed to allow hackers to get in and do the same thing. I mean, I don't care if you want to sell me a pair of shoes, because I can choose not to buy them. But when a hacker gets in to steal my identity or to listen in on a private conversations, well, that's a different thing, Larry, and that's what that's being used for. And the government uses these same facilities to spy on you, everyone who's watching you, me in particular, or anybody who looks like they are standing out of line or saying or doing something which might potentially be a threat to America.
How do you know that the United States government isn't looking into what Iran is saying, what Russia is saying, what China is saying. Why can't we do the same?
Well, I'm sure we are. Which is what I'm saying. There are no secrets, Larry. Not only are we watching the Chinese are watching us. We're watching the Russians are watching us. They're watching the Iranians who are watching us.
So is that mutually...
There are no secrets.
So is that mutually assured destruction?
It is if we don't stop it. If we don't develop techniques to prevent this from happening. Everything has been focused on warfare. I have software that can attack you, or violate you, or find your information. But nothing has been placed on preventing that from happening from the other side. It's like we have nuclear bombs, but no bomb shelters. This is where we are today.
So where does it all end? What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is that Donald Trump will not see the reality of our cyber situation, and will allow the current madness to continue, only in worse form. His cybersecurity platform, stating he wants the Department of Justice to control a nationwide task force, is the most frightening, because we know that it will be the FBI within the DOJ. They've been hacked more than anybody.
If the head of the FBI were with us right now, what would he answer to what you've just said?
Well, you know, okay, so I debated on CNN the FBI mouthpiece for 15 minutes, a very slick gentleman who started off saying it's all about security versus privacy. You must give up some privacy to get security. This is when they wanted to open the iPhone. And I was saying, no, nonsense, you know how to do it. And ultimately they did it on their own, only after so many people spoke out against them. My greatest fear is that Mr. Trump is going to overlook that subtle difference between cybersecurity and the use of cyber technology to assure our national security by spying on us.
The trouble could
That's
be
my biggest fear, Larry.
Trouble could be the public, John. Hitler, in 1937, suspended warrants. He did away with warrants. And he explained to the German public, we have enemies within. If you have nothing to fear, why do you care if the police come to your house to search it? And the public bought that. Do you think the American public would buy that?
Well, only if they haven't understood what privacy is, Larry. Because you think if you've got nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. All of us, 100 times a day, exercise a privacy function. When you buy something from the grocery store, do you tell the clerk the intimate details of your life? No, that's madness. For your casual acquaintances, you may divulge more. For a close friend, you might divulge even more. For your spouse, you might divulge everything, providing you're not having sex with her sister. But even then, you might not choose to divulge that. We all have levels of privacy that allow our society to function smoothly. And so if you say, well, you have nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear, that means that ultimately everybody will know everything about everybody else. And we will have riots in the streets. Privacy is the glue that allows the negative aspects of humanity to meld with our positive aspects and have a smoothly functioning society. We are all, Larry, greedy as well as loving. We feel hate as well as generosity. We have grace, but we also have fear and jealousy. These are the things that we must keep private from some people. Otherwise, your neighbor, if you're a Christian and you don't know your neighbor's a Muslim or vice versa, and all of this comes out, suddenly the person that you liked, you no longer like. Suddenly there's animosity, secrecy. John, we all have secrets. We all must keep them.
John, you're a great guest. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Always good seeing you. John McAfee. Whoa. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Politicking. Remember, you can join the conversation on my Facebook page. Check out the Politicking blog on our homepage, or tweet me at King's Things. And don't forget to use the Politicking hashtag. And that's all for this edition of Politicking.